All right, all right. We are here today, hitting the road, episode 8. How you guys doing? We are here with Austin and Colin. I mean, look, already bringing the vibes, man. Just
Oh,
bringing.
hey, we're on video. We gotta get pumped up. I mean, let's figure.
No, man, no. I love it. I love just the energy right off the bat, and I'm excited because you guys and I talked to you before we just jumped on here. Just who you guys represent yourself to be, what you're doing, I think is super unique. I think you guys are oozing with talent, and I absolutely mean that. I think in a town that, everybody comes and aspires to stand out, I think you're standing out among those that stand out, which is crazy, if I may. And
Thank you. I appreciate
so
that.
absolutely. And so Austin and Colin, just to give people a little bit of context, you guys are, content creators, marketing masterminds, if I may. And then I think also recording artists. Can I add that to your resume?
Yeah,
Yeah.
recording
Love
artists.
it. Love it, man. And so what I want to do, and I mentioned it, I want to kind of start from your origin. I want to start, kind of where you come from. From what I could see, you guys are from Cincinnati, Ohio, right?
Correct. Right.
Home of the Bungles. Is that, can I say that? Is that,
Yep.
but you're hardcore, right? You're hard.
Hooray!
Yeah, exactly. But you guys are hardcore like Cincinnati Bengal fans. Is that
Oh
safe to
yeah.
say?
Oh
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
yeah.
The cardiac cats, as they call them, because they always give you a heart attack when you're.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Wait.
Well,
One day we will see we will get that Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Had a shot recently, but we didn't quite get there. But yeah, it's been a lot of fun I mean, we grew up like that was the red. If you live in Cincinnati, the Reds, the Bengals, like it's part of it's in Nashville, the Titans and stuff aren't quite a part of your life unless
mm,
they're good.
And
In
so many people in Nashville are from out of town, so like there's not as much of a like. I mean, in Cincinnati, every single person has like a Bengals flag on their
mhm.
front door, and all that,
Yeah, so
Yeah.
it's
Great.
truly a part of life there, and so yeah, we're certainly still true fans to that. But that's where Colin and I met back in Cincinnati when we were in high school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Went to the same middle school, but didn't really know each other. And then one time, Colin just kept posting his beats. He used to post them on Facebook. It would be like a screenshot of a minivan with the back door up and a bunch of speakers stacked in the back that he found on like Google Images. And
Okay.
he would post that photo with just like, check out this beat. And I would listen to him. And I just sensed, and this is something that I think I've always done, but like right there, I was like, this for his age, and I was the same age, but I'm like, he's just talented. He's
Yeah.
got something that I don't know anyone that can produce on this level at this age. And I loved entertaining, and I was in, theater. Colin was too. I was, I did sports, I did everything, and I was like, you know what? Maybe there's a way we can make a song. I love singing. I love doing this. I've never dabbled in actual music because I never had anyone that could help me create it. And so I messaged him and I said, let's make a song about minivans because we both drove minivans in high school. And
Yeah.
I said, can
I
you remix a Michael Jackson Beat It?
yeah. I know it's Billie Jean, I
Oh,
think.
Billie Jean.
I remixed Billie Jean, and to give some context, I drove a blue Plymouth Voyager, and you had a.
Gold Town and Country.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. We would
That's
take the seats
money.
out. We'd put a video game system in the back. It was great. But yeah, that first song we made was a bit of a hit with what, like 5 to 12 comments
Five to
on
12 comments.
Yeah. Yeah.
Facebook before they had likes, and we're like, you know what? Maybe this is meant to be. So
That was
Yeah.
the beginnings.
that was our humble beginnings, and then we
Man.
started a band in Cincinnati. Had a couple hits. We got on the radio.
Hits. I mean, they had like 150 streams, but the radio picked them up,
Yeah,
Yeah,
So
of course.
we got to play on live TV, and then we made actually a remix of California Girls called Cincinnati Girls, which was about like the people in Cincinnati
Sure.
and the girls of Cincinnati, and it went pretty viral.
with just a
Um,
thumbnail on YouTube, got like 80,000 views overnight, got us a lot of attention. That was our first kind of spark of like, why did this get so much attention? Why did this song? And it was, the relatability, the connection to people, the kind of delight of like, whoa, I can't believe they made a song about these things that I'm so viscerally experienced. So you're seeing a little bit that in our later years right now, right? You're
Mhm.
seeing us coming back to these roots. And you saw we did it in Nashville probably as well. But yeah, that was the beginning taste of kind of this, I guess, songs about cities or welcome to style of music that we've done recently.
Sure, absolutely. And so was this all going on when you say, the TV spots, and was this all in high school or is this kind of post high school? Like how old were you, when all this was kind
yeah,
of taking place locally?
I think we were 18 at that time, and we kind of peaked during that time of high school, right before we went to college. So right as our band was getting really hot, we actually both ended up coming to Nashville in 2010, 2009, 2010. We went to Lipscomb, I went to
Hmm.
Belmont. And so that Cincinnati dream of the music and everything kind of died a little bit because when you come to Nashville, it's like everybody here does music. Back in Cincinnati, it was kind of like there wasn't a ton of competition. But when
Yeah.
we came down to Nashville, it was like, oh, everybody here makes music. So it was really tough to find a way to stand
And
out.
when we got here, we went up to the top parking garage of Belmont and we stood there and we looked out over the skyline. And just like you said, we were like, how are we going to find a way to stand out
Yeah. Yeah.
in this absolute, like, it's like we had a little bit of a reality check in the first few weeks where it's like, yeah, everyone here is talented. Like
Sure.
your music, if you're doing down the road music, you might as well just like buy a Powerball ticket because like good luck.
Yeah.
Because not that you're not good. It has nothing to do with being good. It's just how are you going to stick out? And
Right.
so we sat there and we thought, we're like, we're going to find a way. Little did we know that way would be a lot longer, a lot more curvy,
Sure.
and a lot more interesting than we
Yeah.
thought. But we're starting to actually finally see some of the fruits of the kind of hard work and just like honestly persistence that we've put in over these past how long? I mean, when did we go to college?
16 years, 17,
Yeah.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's kind of wild. They say
Yes.
it's a 10-year town, but we've been doing it for like 16 years.
Yes.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
that's absolutely right. And so when you guys came, and I know you mentioned, Lipscomb, Belmont, what was the plan? I mean, like, hey, we're going to go to different schools, but like two parts of a medallion, we'll find our way back, to each other, kind of thing. Or were y'all still kind of bunking up even after maybe your first couple years, or like what did that look like?
Yeah, I mean, when we went to college, I think we kind of creatively took a little bit of a break and went our own ways for a little while, but
Because
we always,
I went 1 year before you,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
And so it's like, is Colin going to come to Nashville or is the dream going to die? And there was a moment in time where he almost stayed in Cincinnati, and I guilt tripped. I was sad inside, so
Mm.
I kind of lashed out and kept saying, "You're
Yeah.
gonna stay there."
Yeah.
And he somehow, I think your dad
I
took what.
stuck around. Yeah, thanks Dale Cooper, my dad, for he said give it one more shot, and I said
Oh man.
I guess so, man. Because I was about to head back to Cincinnati, and it was just kind of like, it was tough coming to a new town, and trying to pursue this dream. And my dad kind of pushed me to keep pursuing it because I just love music so much. And I was like, all right, I got to give this another shot. But out of college, we decided that we didn't want to get real jobs, even though we had a degree in health and physical education, and I had an information systems management degree. And like, let's throw these in the closet for the time being.
Mhm.
And we both love making, we've made so many videos over the years. So we're like, what if we can find a way to make videos for money and start like a video production company out of college in 2014?
Because I saw all these people in college doing these like cinematic wedding videos, and I was like, I think we could do that.
Yeah.
Because there's a consistent income that comes there. We could support ourselves and then find a way back to our creativity. So when you talk about bunking up, we would go back and forth to college, like back and forth to each other's campuses during college, just to
Hmm.
try and keep the drive alive. And then during the summers, we'd connect in Cincinnati and do like an EP or whatever. But we didn't break out or anything till after college ended, and so we had to find a way. So Colin moved in a room that was about what 10 by 10. I mean 10 by 50, like,
Yeah,
and we put bunk beds in
from your college, I
from
believe.
my
Yeah.
college. We like got him from like a thrift
Yeah.
store, and he was in a bunk on one side. We took him apart. Eventually, we first bunked, and then we're like, we could have our own room. Let's put a wardrobe divider in the middle of the room, and you can have about 1 foot of space outside of your side,
Yeah.
and I can have 1 foot of my own space on this
Yeah.
side of the divider, and then we'll put one desk that we can like have at the front of the room. So there was literally no space, and these bunks, when you slept at night, if you turned, you would hear like and it would,
Both, like,
yeah, and it
so
would wake the other
uh,
person up. And that's where we started. We woke up one day, I wore a Hawaiian shirt. We've got a photo of it. We're like, we're a video production company. We got to find a way to get a
Yeah.
client like
we
that.
were, we
Yeah.
were paying $300 a month for rents, and we didn't have health insurance or something, but it was just
Sure.
like uh we found a way to lower as much overhead as we could, and started making wedding videos
Yeah.
early
Did
on.
our first one free, and then we did a good job that the people wanted our
Brilliant.
video as well. Then $200 and $500, and we so slowly started this video production company, and we needed an interesting way to market it. And we're like, how are we going to do that? Well, that's when we remembered what's worked in the past, what resonates with people, and we put together this Welcome to Nashville video.
Yeah.
And we had no idea. I mean, we had no idea what it would do.
Yeah.
We had no idea. But we're like, let's do this song. We took about 2 weeks off, wrote, based on all these things that I've just always felt about the city, because the city was growing so fast during this time period
Yeah.
and everything was changing. And I'm like, we're always talking about these things. Have you seen this going over here? Wait, there's a new rooftop in town. I remember the first rooftop was above the Fairfield Inn called Up. And it's like, we're getting rooftops in Nashville. And then downtown went nuts.
Yeah.
And so we noticed all these things happening.
There's actually, sorry to interrupt you. There was a image online that was going viral of like these different neighborhoods of Nashville, and like the Gulch has this, like the shopping and the rich, whatever, East Nashville, West Nashville,
Stereotypes and stuff.
stereotypes of the whole city. And so we're like, what if we made a song kind of based off this whole thing, paying homage to our Cincinnati Girls song back in 2009, I
So
believe.
we
Yeah.
did the only thing we knew, recorded, went and shot this music video with the camera gear that we've been using for weddings, all this stuff. And man, when we put this thing together, I viscerally remember me sitting on the steps and looking at Colin. This is the day before we launched it. And I'm like, you know what just occurred to me? When we launch this, either the entire city has to accept us as like, these are our guys,
Yep. Yep.
or they have to throw it away and say, I hate these guys.
And you,
I don't like them at all,
and
and they
you,
do not represent us.
yeah, you become a meme for the rest of your life. And it's like, you guys
Right.
made a really bad video that was really cringe. And you're like, so there was like a fear of like, if we post this and it gets destroyed,
Like
like,
that's it. Like we should probably just go
Yeah.
somewhere to do something different. And
yeah.
I didn't really realize that until like we were about to post it, because I'm like, if this gets out far enough, who knows? And I remember clicking hit on like the share, except we're sharing a YouTube link of the song on Facebook. This is back then. And it went insane.
Yeah.
I mean, like it was
35 to 40,000 shares on
Yeah.
Facebook.
Incredible.
Yeah, I mean, just overnight, it was just like
I
insane.
remember waking up and my phone had like 8 missed calls from all the news stations.
Wow.
And I would like, so I had to call Colin and I had to schedule like all these news interviews and all this stuff. And I guess it was just the first time that anyone, especially with this new era of Nashville, had ever put that, not only just put it out there in this way, because it was a comprehensive thing. I mean, 3.5, 4 minutes going through every single neighborhood.
Yeah.
What you think, so I think it was the first time that anyone had ever done that, and especially to music, and it was catchy, and so it just went bonkers. And
And
that
at the end of the video, we had a like a 3-second thing that said like, we make videos,
for Nashville.
because it was ultimately just a promotion of our video company, which it did lead to several opportunities over the years. But
Sure.
That was the first. That was the first, like, I guess, rocket fuel to some sort of personality brand, artist, entertainer thing, because we started the Austin and Colin kind of brand.
Sure. Well, and admittedly, I mean, I didn't see. I mean, well, maybe I did, but I hadn't really paid attention to it until maybe a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
I saw it, and I think that for me, what was amazing to watch was you guys nailed down to the detail, down to the heartbeat
Mhm.
of what, certainly, but and what's going down, what's going on, down on Broadway and just the pedal tap, all these things, right? Where you guys are just kind of, mentioning the details of Nashville, and you nailed it. And for anybody that is coming to town, or anybody that lives in town or has lived in town, they're just like, man, these guys completely wrap their head around it and get it. So I think that for me, it was pretty incredible. But it's going to lead me to another question because, and I thought I wanted to think about this. So has that led you guys? Because I've noticed some of your other videos are targeting pockets of Nashville, whether it's Bellevue or 12 South or whatever it is. But then even extending beyond that to different suburbs or cities outside. So there's obviously, I think that it's totally, and maybe I'm wrong here, but you guys let me know. Are you guys using Nashville? I say using Nashville. That's not probably the proper word, but maybe as a platform of these other cities as kind of ways to geo-target, marketing. I don't want to let, you guys, you don't have to tell me how the sausage is made, but when you're doing, videos for, different cities or different town, like are people from the Chamber of Commerce calling you up, or is the mayor calling you up and saying, hey, or brands calling you up? What does that look like
Before we
What do you
get
think?
there, let me fast forward you through what happened after that, which by the way, that was launched in, and I don't know what if you've seen all of the Welcome to Nashville original music videos, because all those videos that are vertical that you're seeing is a new form of what we did in the past. But we
Because we
launched
used to have, they used to be like 5 minutes long, and they'd go even, they would go into more details. And there was three iterations of Welcome to Nashville. So we just like, yeah,
2016, 2018, and 2021. We launched Welcome to Nashville 3 in 2021. In the middle of doing corporate videos and fun videos for companies with our video production company we own with one other guy named Sean Webster, who's still running that as CEO now, which does fun creative videos for other clients and corporate companies. While we're in the middle of doing that, we launched Welcome to Nashville 3 to try and keep the Nashville content going, because that's the thing that has kind of filled us up, is this fun, engaging, entertaining content for people, and people have resonated the most with Nashville things. So we launched our Welcome to Nashville 3. And I remember looking at Colin and saying, well, Colin, it's been about a week. We've done our news interviews. It's time to get back to work.
Yeah.
Almost signifying the end of an era, because I had had my 1 year, I had had my first child. As we were trying to film, I was
yeah,
in the room, and my wife was 4 centimeters dilated, and we had the shoot date the next day.
yeah.
And I was like, we, we're going to shoot. If I have the baby, we can't shoot, but like, hopefully we don't have the baby. And so we shot,
Yeah, hopefully we don't. Yeah, I
yeah.
get you.
So we shot the video. We were barely able to make it through. Anyway, it just kind of felt like we've been doing this for 14, I don't know,
13,
13 years.
14, yeah.
And it's like, Colin, if we haven't broke yet and really been able to generate enough traction to make a big enough name for ourselves that we can sustain this, we probably need to either just kind of continue and hopefully grow this video production company, or go do something else. It kind of felt like there was just the beginnings of, this is maybe the end of the rope. I need to maybe stop this. I have a family that I'm starting, all that kind of stuff. And then, and I would personally say this is kind of a miraculous God moment, get a call. Actually, Sean got the call, and he came down and he's like, hey, there's a guy he was like a VP of Warner calling. And I was like, okay, cool. I think we still have the call recorded, but it was
Yeah,
Peter Strickland
yeah.
is his name. I don't know if you know him, but
Okay.
he was the vice president of Warner Music. And he had actually left there and was now consulting and kind of a part of the BMG group. And he said, I don't know, but I've been seeing you guys for years, and I just feel like there might be something here. We're starting some like a comedy imprint. And long story short, we end up getting a meeting with John Loba, who's the CEO of BMG. And we didn't know what the meeting was going to entail, but essentially we were going to pitch, you know, doing this at another level and
That's
going
good. Yeah.
world. And so I remember being in the shower and just like, geez, how are we gonna stand out in this meeting? And I was like, what are we doing? We got to make a song about this. And I tell Colin, and he's like, it sounds
Yeah.
risky, but that's what we've always
And
done.
we're like,
Mm,
we should probably do a music video too, just to make it as big as possible.
sure.
So
Yeah.
we make a music video, and we could probably send this to you. It's a music video that goes through our entire backstory, tells the verses, tell how we got started in that minivan, like the whole thing. And then the chorus is, we got a meeting with BMG. We're all hoping that Loba's smiling, not frowning. And we photoshopped his face dancing with us in the video, smiling, frowning. And yeah, imagine showing in the meeting of your life, hitting play on that video. And I remember we couldn't get
On your laptop, yeah.
yep, we couldn't get the
Uh,
Wi-Fi to work for like 15 minutes. So instead of showing it on the big screen, we're just like on his laptop, and I'm huddled behind him, just like, what did we think? And for some reason,
Brilliant. Yeah.
he really got a kick out of that. And we created a song called Bread Problems, about all the problems we experience with bread as humans.
Gluten sensitivity,
Yeah.
when the hot
Yeah.
dog bun breaks when you put the hot dog in, yeah, just
Yeah.
that sort of thing.
And we made a whole music video about that as like a mock-up of like an album type thing that we would potentially want to do with him. And he literally he stood up after our presentation, and he was like, yeah, you got a record deal.
That's
And he's like,
incredible.
that's the fastest. He's like, that's the fastest I've ever given a record deal. And it was,
Really?
yeah, shocking. Shocking. Now, the music industry, as you, I'm sure, know or have talked to people, can be a little bit slower moving than some
Sure.
other industries.
Sure.
So it took about a year and a half or
Oh,
so,
wow.
We
2 years before we officially signed the contract, which I tell you what, you talk about learning patience and how to just wait on the thing that you want. That was a good period for growth and development for
I'm
us.
sure.
And but we signed that deal, and so kind of fast forward now today, we're in this beautiful kind of partnership with a great team over there where we are releasing original music, which is, if you remember LMFAO,
Yeah.
they, like think about the song I'm Sexy and I Know It,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Fun, and it's kind of funny, but it's built for pop, just dance music, right?
Sure.
So we're trying to create this fun, positive dance music. And we're going to be start to do some interpolations because our song, our remix of I Like to Move It from the movie
Yep.
Madagascar took,
Hmm.
took that had a TikTok moment and it's about at 1 million streams. And so we're seeing how people resonate with something that they can attach to nostalgia or a song that they've heard in the past.
Sure. Sure.
While we're subsequently going back to our roots, doing these songs for cities, these welcome to videos that create a connection with people, that grow a brand. It's like our version of like a modern radio tour. We're going to these cities, basically creating something that allows them to deeply resonate with. It seems to be something that they really enjoy. It makes them smile. And we're able to build our kind of awareness of who we are, what we do, and what we want to bring to the world, which is just making people smile in a world that's a little bit too dark sometimes.
Let's
Yeah.
go. Let's
So
go. I love that. I'm sorry. Go
yeah.
ahead.
I mean, we've done a lot of content promoting our music, and some things have taken off here and there, but it's like when we post these videos, it's like every single time, knock on wood, it's just like it always takes off. And so
And eventually we
we're
want to turn that into the TV show, like a
Yeah.
Song for Cities TV show, grow that brand that way. And maybe we end up releasing an album full of songs for cities or things like that.
Mhm.
But it's just very hard in today's social media world, which Colin and I could talk for a decade about it, the mental health components and
Yeah.
how hard it is to keep going on
Yeah.
there
Sure.
when things aren't always great and you put so much time and effort to a piece of content. But this is something we found that's worked consistently. It's providing value to people who live in the city. It's providing, value to the businesses there. It's providing value to us. And we get to actually see and feel refueled by the response we get, as opposed to just kind of throwing something out there and not knowing whether it's worthwhile or people, if the algorithm will show it or things like that.
Yeah. But to
Sure.
return to your original question, we have had a lot of people reach out to come to their cities, and a lot of people wanting us to do it for their real estate agency or whatever. So it's we've never gotten so many emails from these pieces of content because I think they see it as more than just like a little TikTok or reel. Like it kind of reaches outside of just a little social media piece. It's kind of like a little cultural moment for a city or a town.
Yeah.
So recently we did Lawrenceburg, Tennessee, which is a town of 10,000 people. And you might go, what's going on in this little town? And we actually, kind of uncover all the different rocks of like what are the hot spots and everything. And so this little town of 10,000 people had a video that reached 1.4 million people, which is just like insane to us. So um it's
Yeah.
been fun being able to explore these different parts of town, like Hendersonville,
Yeah.
South Broadway. It's because we usually go in not knowing a ton about these places, and then you actually do so much research that you're like, I could live here someday because it's actually a really nice place to
Yeah.
live. But from the outside perspective, you might be like, what's in Hendersonville? And then you go there and you're like, oh, this is an amazing lake town with like a lot of
Yeah.
really stuff to do. So uh,
Absolutely.
it's been fun.
Well, no, I love that. And let me ask you guys too, because I'm curious. So, and I mentioned before we jumped on that, I worked as an agent in the music industry. And so I worked with people that, artists that won, had won Grammy Awards or American Idol, whatever it is that, and so those things, when you win a thing or it's got a very short shelf life, right? And so I would imagine when something goes viral, it's the same thing. You've got a window that's about yay big, probably.
Yeah.
And I've got friends of mine too that have had great success as songwriters in town and have multiple number ones, but they kind of chase. They have to chase that carrot a
Oh
little
yeah.
bit more. Do you guys find yourself sometimes, maybe you don't think about, that way, but after that first success, did you maybe have pressure that you put on yourself to, hey, what's the next big idea and how do we chase it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's one thing that I eventually want to get to from a growth standpoint where you don't feel that constant pulling of like,
I
cool, I can relax, but then when you relax, you're like, oh, it's getting farther away. I better go catch up and like
Mm,
I want to get away from that. And that I think honestly is one of the tougher things to do in today's age of like, you're only as good as your last
right.
video.
yeah.
Um,
From a scientific level, we both understand that like the dopamine you get from a
Yeah.
viral video is so insane. Like we've had videos that get 10 million views, and for like a week, you're like on top of cloud
yeah.
nine, and then there's literally a dopamine crash, and you might go into a dopamine deficit where for like you'll have a couple days of being like, are we gonna lose this? Are we losing it? Like we don't get another hit, like our career's
Are
over.
we
And so
good? Are we even good
yeah,
at this? Do people care? Right? There's a lot of things that can happen in that way. So yes, it's always a struggle. However, and that's why you're seeing us focus on this kind of like songs for cities type mentality right now, is because for once, it's not what is the next greatest idea? It's like, no, this is something that you've honed in, a craft that you've honed in for 16 years of how to do this, like basically this type of awesome video, music video for a city, and we know how to do it. It's work, it's hard work, and it's creative work, but we know how to do it, and it's consistently working. And so, honestly, for the first time ever, there is like if you put in the work, for the most part, you get a good matching like output, and you get filled up a lot because you actually make people like there was a post after the Lawrenceburg video that I read. I was looking through some of the shares, and this lady was like, I've been depressed. I've been in a really bad hole.
Wow.
I don't know what I'm doing in my life, but for some reason, this silly song about a city made me like completely turn that around. And I feel like I actually like feel connected again. And like, I don't know, it was just like a very meaningful post about
Sure.
there.
Love that.
And there's little nuggets like that that make me go, okay, like that's enough to keep doing this. And so from this musical thing with the cities, that's one thing that we found that we're like, let's just stay that road instead of veering off so that we can continue to build an audience that understands who we are and sees the benefits of it. From an original music standpoint, that's where it's very difficult to
Sure.
play that game where it's like, great, people love this. I like to
yeah.
move it. It's up to 1 million streams. Great.
Sure.
What do we do next? And it's like,
And then you tease like 5 to 6 songs, and none of them really truly resonate like the last one did, and you're kind of like, what's going wrong?
and
Right. Right.
Music, it's such a bigger gamble of whether it's not going to, and you can just tell so viscerally which ones are just not connecting at all.
And I would even say, though, not connecting with your audience that it's first
Yeah,
distributing it to, it has nothing to do with whether the song's good enough or not. There are plenty of absolutely unbelievable songs that just aren't going to resonate for that TikTok audience. And that's telling other people that say, well, if it didn't resonate on TikTok, maybe
it's
you
not a
should
good
just,
song or
yeah,
something.
get the
Yeah,
next one out there
Sure.
because it didn't go viral. It's such a weird, you don't blame anyone for the space. It's just the world we live in where it's
Right.
like,
Right.
unless it's proven that it's going to perform for an artist or a label, you're kind of like, well, should we put it out?
probably just
Probably
shelve
just
it. Yeah,
shelve it for now. It's just like all the songwriters in Nashville who write some of the greatest songs all day, every day,
Right.
and they get to perform it maybe at a songwriter's night once, but it maybe it doesn't get pitched during that pitching cycle to the right person who is looking for it, and now it's just it might be the greatest song ever, but it's sitting in a
Yeah,
hole.
timing. Yeah, timing. Yeah. So absolutely. Well, and again, like you said, it can be kind of a funny, the algorithms and just it's such a big ball of wax, right, that you're dealing with that. But okay, so I wanted to just kind of pivot a little bit. So, you guys have got a media company, okay? Mac and Cheese Media, which the name is outstanding.
thank
Because and it's when I saw it, I was like, man, how did I not think of that? Like, how did I not think of that?
you.
And so it's pretty brilliant. I guess, well, first of all, I mean, I would love it if you guys kind of talk about what you do with your media company, but I'm also curious, is Austin and Colin, is that driving a lot of the, kind of the business that you're getting through Mac and Cheese, or does one maybe not have as much to do with the other? I mean, is there kind of a segregation, or how does that work?
Yeah, so when we got the kind of opportunity to go this full-time artist entertainer route, we shifted, and Sean has taken kind of the reins with Mac and Cheese Media, which is a full service video production kind of video marketing agency that helps brands think of ways to creatively get their name out there, whether it's through consistent social content or through service-based video ads or through whatever. But it's a video production company that thinks a little bit differently about the way that a business can market, which is the same principles when we started the company. It's the principles that we apply when we're doing the content that we're doing now. And so that company works with clients like Icy, Dippin' Dot, like those brands like that when you think of that company, it's like we want to do both the video production kind of services that your company might need just consistently, but also the Super Bowl ad, like that kind of stuff.
Sure, sure.
And so we have infused kind of our principles and methodology, and Sean is doing a really great job of carrying that out and kind of scaling that Mac and Cheese Media, because we're not noodling around there.
Yeah,
But that is
totally.
that is like a separate entity there. And then Austin and Colin are the entertainers, artists, and content creators that are really, kind of pursuing the dream that we've always had, which is, it's changed at times, but I think right now we're at the point where it's like, man, we just would feel so blessed to be able to wake up and continue to do something that's in this creative space that involves music and creativity and always kind of thinking differently, or what can we do to kind of turn something that, on its head that hasn't been done before. Eventually, I think we really want to take what we're doing in a small silo and partner with other celebrities, bringing them into that ecosystem.
Sure.
So if you think about what Lonely Island did with like I'm on a boat and these like music videos, think about if we did it more of like an LMFAO style, but with collaborations of artists, maybe like a digital short for the CMA Awards where we do a fun music video with celebrities, or
Yeah.
maybe that goes all the way up to the Grammys or whatever. So that type of space where, we're kind of in between all different areas, having fun,
Sure.
doing interesting music, creating interesting content, and hopefully having fun and being fulfilled while we do it.
Absolutely. Well, I love that. And so, because I did notice, a couple things. I've seen that you guys had done a real estate, video with Walker Hayes, and what's funny, and that's when, and I mentioned to you guys before we popped on, uh, you can almost kind of become a caricature of yourself, right? And not that that's what I think that you guys are. I think far from it. But when you guys just all of a sudden just kind of slid into the frame, just kind of slid into the picture, and it's like, what up, what up, Walker Hayes? We're gonna write a song for you, and here he is, again, he's got a massive hit probably, or coming off that, coming off Fancy Like, or whatever it is, and you guys just kind of pop into the frame like seriously, like a couple of cartoon characters, man. And I'm like, these dudes are clowns. And like I was like, and I love, but you guys, you've done some different things, in the music space with, the Jake Owens of the world or whatever it is. Are these relationships that, somebody made an introduction to you? Is it something that you had these relationships going back to your early days in Nashville and you guys maybe kind of came up around the same time? And I'll go one further, like who is, or maybe what's a short list of artists you would love to work with moving forward?
Yeah, I guess our introduction into the music industry originally was my fraternity brother, Colton Morris with Morris Hyam Management,
Okay, yeah.
worked with Jake Owen, and he was like, "Hey, Jake's looking for." This story is actually pretty crazy because Jake was looking for a video, like a singular videographer, and I was like, "Yeah, we could be interested in working something out." So we get a call one day in the morning, and Austin's like, "Hey, Jake wants to meet like right now." So I'm like wearing pajamas or something, and I just run out the door and make it to his management company, and we meet Jake and everything, and it's obviously me and Austin. And for some reason, Jake decides that it'd be a great idea to bring both of us on as like his dual videographers, because nobody in the music industry does that. It's always just one guy that kind of takes care of everything. But um, we became really good friends with Jake, and through our relationship over the next year, we actually started making music with him, and we made a funny song called Putt Puttin' with him. And we did a song called Seafoam Green about his
Mm,
favorite color. And then I think that kind of connected into like we did some work with Toby Keith.
hmm
Uh, God rest his soul.
Yeah,
He's a great
absolutely.
guy. we were in one of his music videos and filmed it ourselves. Like, so we just kind of bopped around in these weird different connections. And Walker Hayes, I'm trying to remember how that came about actually.
Uh,
Davy
oh
Hackett,
yeah, one of
yes.
my friends from Lipscomb, which this kind of ties back into another connection, is I went to school at Lipscomb and they had social clubs and not fraternities and sororities, called social clubs.
Social.
Sure.
And
Yeah.
when I showed up my freshman year to try to be a part of one, Thomas Rhett was the guy who brought our group to, like, was like the pledge master or whatever
Okay.
to our group, right? So Thomas Rhett was a part of that, and so I remember him playing some of his major hits, but back before he ever had a record deal or anything,
Yeah.
just in the room while we were like, I don't know what we were doing, but probably wasn't great. Anyway, so that was that connection, but there was another connection there named Davey Hackett. He was a baseball player, and we just reconnected at some point in life, and he was selling Walker Hayes home, and we came up with this idea of what if we made a music video about selling the home. That would be not only a great way to sell the home, but also be a really good marketing piece.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so
Brilliant.
we've done videos like that with Jake Owen and things like that. We just, this is just kind of what we do. It's like, hey, what if we took something that people normally don't make a song about and we made a really fun song and music video about it? Typically, for some reason, and I think that's the beauty of music in the world and just videos and things like that, but it does something. You're like, I like this. Like, I don't
Sure.
know. There's something about this music that makes me feel a way, that makes me happy, and it makes me want to share it with somebody else.
Yeah.
Sure.
And we always do kind of put on a character kind of vibe because like we're pretty normal right now, but like when the camera comes on, it's always like, I'm Austin and I'm Colin. Hey, like, we always kind of try to elevate ourselves a little bit when we're on camera.
Yeah, I would
Sure.
say that we do. I try. I always want the elevated version of myself to just be an elevated version of myself,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely. Yeah,
And so it's
absolutely.
like, sure, there'll be times where I'm not that person, but it doesn't mean my values or views or anything have changed. So whether or not it's like, I'm Austin.
And I'm Colin.
And Nate's a great guy. Let me tell you what, he has this podcast. It's called Hitting the Road. And, he does such a great job of interviewing people. He's just so curious. And it really makes me happy to meet Nate.
And he's
It's like,
got a great beard, by
oh,
the
and
way.
he's got a
He's
great
got a
beard,
great
Colin.
Oh,
beard.
guys, you're too kind.
So okay. So that was an elevated version of
Sure.
what we're doing
Sure.
here, but it doesn't mean I don't mean anything that I just said, right?
Yeah.
Or whatever. So it's like,
Yeah.
that's
No,
kind of,
I love that. And here in a second, I do want to kind of circle back to kind of again, just kind of a list of people that you would ideally love to work with. But here's something I wanted to touch on while it was on my mind because there was a video that you guys did in the drive-through of Dairy Queen. Okay. This is what really kind of sold me. Let me tell you why. Not because, well, number one, it is a bop, as they say, right? But
thank
like,
you.
but I will say that something that occurred to me is that there's a difference from my vantage point. There's a difference between happiness and joy. I think that one can terminate on itself, the other one lasts eternally. But all that to say, I would say that the smile on their faces and what that did for them in that moment that day. Man, it seemed so authentic and it seemed genuine and it was like, just the happiness that you could see all over their face. And what was something like that where it's just like, okay, yes, we're going to record content, we're going to do content. We know that we've got the ability to pull it off, but do you always know or see the byproduct of like, man, I think we might have just made someone's day or week
Yeah.
by
No, yeah. The interesting thing, I mean, we've done a lot of like videos or music videos, just the two of us, where it's like, let's pick a funny subject and stay in my apartment and make a funny song about cicadas or so. I don't know,
Or
whatever.
what when it snows in the South,
Yeah,
right?
Sure.
and those are great for fulfilling your creativity and getting the dopamine hit of getting a viral hit, and that feels good for like a day, or whatever. But like when we do the drive-through videos, even for some reason they don't really pick up on the algorithm and they don't go viral, but those are the ones that like make you feel good for a
Yeah.
long time.
Yeah.
I mean, those always have an like a lasting, just like I'm glad even if this doesn't do anything, I'm just glad I made somebody's day, and that's the kind of joy that you
Yep.
can't fabricate with just a couple likes on a video or whatever.
Y-
It's totally
You're
different.
you're picking up on our relentless pursuit of finding ways to not only do something creative, but do something creative and fulfilling for our career. And I think it's an interesting line, and because you can get big doing something. Like if you asked Colin and I to do something that would work, we would have probably been doing something else and have already scaled that to something
Mm,
massive right now. But we, instead of going to the top of that mountain, we said, do we want to be on the top of that mountain?
mm.
Or would we rather, like, because right now I'm not enjoying this mountain, right? You know, and it's
Right,
like
right.
we've been on this relentless pursuit of finding something that aligns with our passions and talents, but also gives us that joy and allows us to give joy to others. So when you see the drive-through videos, those are really hard to do.
Sure.
But at least, and we've talked about this several times, it's like at least at the end of the day, even if this doesn't go viral, even if this doesn't do this, that person had their day changed, and that
Yeah,
is like a
man.
lasting impact on their life. Kathy from Waffle House, we did a video for
Yep.
her,
That's awesome.
and I went into a Waffle House weeks later, and somebody's like, "You're the one who did that video for Kathy," and Kathy was there, and she's like, "I showed everybody that," right? And you get to see, um, and it's the same thing that we're getting to see with these songs for cities, except with the entire city. So in Lawrenceburg,
Mm,
like I actually made like a post of the experience that we had and the way it made me feel, and just seeing these welcoming people welcoming us into their city and all this stuff, and the response back to that, because I talked to the Chamber of Commerce and the guy that set it up. It's like there was just this mutual exchange of like, we loved showing you how special our city is, and in the
mm.
same way, you return just by giving us something special that we have to share.
Yeah,
And so we're just in this pursuit of trying to make as many of those, because those
sure.
are the things that keep us in this game long enough, because it's such a hard game to be in, being
Yeah,
an artist and creative, putting yourself out there consistently day after day after day. We're trying to find ways that we can stay in for the long haul, because if you're in it long enough, you will find a way. But there's a lot of things mentally, physically, emotionally, relationally that can stop you from getting
Yeah.
there. And
sure.
so you find those things that can keep you going.
Yeah. If you're not, I mean, if you're not getting fulfilled with joy or just getting fulfilled in general, and you're just like going through the motions every day, it's like I think we got so burnt out on that over time to where we're like,
Sure.
we had to pivot and figure out what was going to be the thing that like made us happy, found us some success as well. And that's, this Songs for Cities has been one of those things where like we've been able to meet people. Like the byproduct of that is that we've become so well known in Nashville that we get to meet people all the time that just come up and say like, "Hey, I love your guys' videos," and that
Yeah,
sparks a conversation. And then you can express, you don't like, people can be surprised sometimes that it's like they were really nice, and it's like you always want to hold on to that and try to be the best person you can be. And it's just
yeah,
it's yeah,
We
that's
actually got
great.
to see, firsthand, being Jake Owen's videographers, that, in certain moments with certain fans, you can change somebody's life like that
sure.
because of their relationship they feel to you through music or creativity or whatever it is. And so when it comes to forming kind of a legacy or just impact, oh, I'm holding a rock, impact in the world, I think something that Colin and and it's something you have to try and balance the pride aspect of that with just like, why do I want this? Because if you want to be known,
Yeah,
just be known, it's not going to be fulfilling. So how can we continue? Like, I think, wanting to be on stage so that we can make people smile and have those moments where you can change the course of somebody's life in a single conversation, that kind of weight of impact is something not to be taken lightly, but also is one of the most fulfilling things. It's like you get to give a gift to somebody by just being intentional and caring and asking them
yeah,
questions, not like you're doing right now.
Yeah,
You're caring enough to ask what's behind the caricatures of
for
who we
sure.
are.
and it's
And
fulfilling.
yeah, and it
It's
means
been
a lot
great.
to us, right? So that's the interaction that we're trying to, and we've only been able to have this conversation because we've gotten to a point where we were interesting enough for you to reach out, right?
Sure. Well, and man, let me just tell you, and you guys, and I don't know what, so Austin, I looked a little bit, kind of on previous content. You had the full goatee. Now you're rocking the mustache. Okay.
Yeah, right. Hey, it's
Colin,
an award-winning mustache. We went to the Beard and Mustache
yeah.
Championships to film our Kiss Mustache
I
video.
noticed, yeah. And so Colin, obviously the locks, so it's crazy because like, on one hand, you're over here challenging Freddie Mercury and his mustache, and then Colin, you're challenging every villain from Die Hard that ever existed, right? And so
Exactly.
but it creates such a cool like just It's a vibe, man. I mean, it really
Yeah.
is a vibe, just kind of with what you guys are. Again, just not even just like with just the physical appearance, but just the light, the joy. I mean, just the bops, all of it, right? But let me ask you this, and then we'll pivot and we'll find an exit here for you. But like, so I was curious. I listened to one of the episodes of Three Cheese, right?
Wow.
All right.
You hit some
Um,
deep cuts.
That's
Yeah, I
deep.
know,
it's
man.
that's a deep cut. But here's the thing. So like I listened to the one I want to say that you guys did with the guy that co-founder founded Party Foul.
Yeah,
Just
Sean.
well just because just the fat kid in me just needed to even just I don't know just
Yeah.
get some hot chicken somehow up in me.
Yes.
But I guess my curiosity is this because you guys you got your hands in a lot of things. I don't see that the podcast you've had a lot of like podcasts recently. My curiosity is this. Is that just one lever too many? Was that a build that you just maybe underestimated, or was it something? Because I do see the value in what you guys were doing, or are
Mhm.
you still doing it and I just didn't see it? Was it just maybe a little bit more heavy lifting than you wanted to do?
Let me tell you what, our entire existence in this creative space has been with ideating, dreaming big, and most importantly, trying something. You see this content that's out there getting all over everyone's feeds and it's going viral. And we see, we are just thankful and feel blessed that we have found one thing that is doing that from the hundreds of other avenues that we've
Sure.
taken. Now, those things haven't worked out for an abundance of different reasons. Sometimes it was it was too much at the time, despite it being something fulfilling and great. I would put that in that category.
Sure.
Colin and I also had an Austin and Colin show, which we did like it was a podcast and live edited like show where we talked about stuff. We'd like to revisit that, but because of the workload at the time and just where we were headed, it didn't make sense. And we weren't, again, it was like, do I want to go to the top of that mountain right now? And is that
Sure.
where I want to be? And it's like, if it's not, then you're going to get burnout so fast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I want to do a lot of those things in the future. But before you do that, you have to find a way to break through and to be at a point where
Yeah.
you have the resources, the community, and capabilities to where I can say, this is exactly what I want. I've done it twice in the past. It didn't work out. This is exactly what I want. These are the things that I think will be awesome. Now, I need these people to do all like this, and we'll show up and give everything we have into the actual just creative and talent side of things. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
I
Yeah.
think just recently we've just had so many ventures that were like, this is a great idea. I think this is going to be a hit. And sometimes you just have to go through the motions of putting all the work in and seeing what it's like until you can really make a decision on whether it's worth considering doing for a while. But we actually had a party bus tour in Nashville
Mhm.
back in, was that last year?
Yeah,
I think it
longer.
was the fall time. And we were like, this is a good way to make money because we were kind of struggling to find ways to make money. And so we decided to do like a musical party bus tour of Nashville where we sang our songs on a party bus going through an hour and a half long ride. And ultimately, after a couple rides, we were just like, this just isn't it.
Yeah.
We spent weeks working on it. We did so much work to get it, all worked out. And then ultimately it was just like,
It didn't make
it,
sense at the
no, it just
time for
didn't,
the
yeah.
time commitment and the amount of drain on the body
Sure.
when, and Colin and I talk about this a lot. If we had figured some of the things we're figuring out now when we were 23, we probably could have taken them to the ends of the earth. But
Yeah.
I have a 3 month old now and a 3 year old. And so it makes it a little bit harder to get together and do certain things at certain times. And
Sure.
so that party bus tour was fantastic. I have testimonials of people who thought it was amazing. If you were one of the like 150 people who got to go on that, what a special thing. Because
Yeah.
back later and we might do
Absolutely.
special renditions of it. We decided to do a comedy show because Zanies reached out and we said, well, there's a lot of people's dream. We should probably do it. So we did a variety show in
2017 or something like that.
2017. We did a variety show at Zanies, almost
Mm.
sold out the place. And we've never done a show since, but we loved it and would do it again.
Mm.
It's just, we didn't want to just go be variety show, comedians right at that time. Like we didn't
Sure.
want to go to the top of that mountain. And so right now we're finding that, this is a mountain that we do want to climb and we do want to get to the top and see what's there. the original music, entertainment industry, connecting with people and collaborating with other talented artists, which we could return to that previous question, but and then doing these songs for cities and songs for people and welcoming people into different environments and creating niche songs about things that people normally wouldn't create. And I think once we get to that, there may never be a top of that mountain, but once we get to one of the tops and we can look
Sure.
out, I think
Yeah.
there's going to be a lot of other opportunities. We might hang glide or paraglide too. Maybe a
Sure.
move,
Sure.
maybe what else, Colin?
TV show. You
Maybe a
never
late
know.
night
Oh,
show.
let's go.
Maybe there's a lot of other opportunities, but you got to get to a point where you can see out over the trees.
Sure.
Maybe
Yeah,
build yourself
absolutely.
a nice hang glider or something.
Absolutely. Well, and so yeah, and I'll just and again, when I mentioned earlier, like if you were going to collaborate with any, let's just say three people, it doesn't even have to be a music artist or someone in town.
Mhm.
Who would that, be? And it can be, it can be somebody that is attainable. It can be somebody that's just like, hey, in a crazy hypothetical, but who would those people be?
I'm gonna give you three. Austin's gonna
Yeah.
give you three.
Yeah.
I'll say T-Pain,
Ooh,
Okay. Yeah.
nice.
uh, Paul Rudd,
Ooh,
Great
nice.
one. Yeah.
and man, that's a tough one.
I can take this one for you, and I know you're gonna want him in yours, so I'll go
Yeah,
ahead
yeah.
and answer for you. Nathan Fielder's one.
Oh yeah.
He is I don't know. You know who that is?
I do know the name, but I don't know his
Yeah,
work.
he's had basically in a totally different space of like TV. He does something completely outside of the box in the way that you would normally expect someone to go about a show, and it has awkward humor, and he's not afraid to just do something that some people might go, what are they doing, right? So I appreciate what he's done there.
Gotcha.
I'll say Jimmy Fallon just because I don't know him personally, but I do appreciate that he's always trying to spread joy and positivity. At least that's what it seems like from my angle, and gets to he's kind of like a good collaborator for what we're trying to do, right? His
Sure.
audience, typically he does a lot of those fun music videos and stuff like that.
Oh,
And
I
what
was
was
gonna I was gonna say my third was gonna be Conan O'Brien. I don't
Oh,
know.
that's a good
yeah,
one. Yeah.
A lot of people. I watched his show recently.
so
It's
did I.
he is so funny. He's so good at improvising with strangers, and I'm just like he just seems like a genuinely hilarious dude. So that would be my third nominee.
And I
That's a
feel
good
like
one. Yeah.
a music artist. Let me just you know what? Let's do Lil Wayne.
Okay. Okay. Love
Nice.
it. Love it, man. Yeah. No, well, I know that I think here lately, you hear a lot of people say that they are going to speak things into existence, or they try to. You hear a lot of manifesting and all this kind of stuff, but I do sometimes like sometimes just good old, hey man, I'm going to show up today. I'm going to be faithful to today, and we'll see what doors open up.
Love it.
From that, and but I love that you guys have got kind of a Mount Rushmore, so to speak, of people. I mean, I think the math doesn't add up there. I mean, there's six total. But yeah, you guys have got a Mount Rushmore of people you'd like to work with. And so let me ask you this, and I'll let you get. What's next for you guys? I mean, what's like, are you going to tour? Are you working with? Do you have any maybe cities that you're working with, in the near future? Maybe you can mention that, maybe not. What's next for you guys?
And let's see. We're gonna keep doing these city songs for the foreseeable future for sure.
Yeah,
We're gonna see how far we can take this concept, I think, and see if we can just take over the US, the whole world, maybe try an international city at some point. See where that leads us.
yeah,
That's definitely point one or point A.
We're going to continue making interesting original music. Right now, we're kind of going back and looking at these songs we've released about, which by the way, we'd love for people to check out our original music. We think it's got a special space. It's very interesting. You can look it up on Spotify or whatever. But we're taking a look at how our audience has reacted to that, and we're going to kind of start creating a lot more original music in that vein, because the journey as a original artist is just an interesting journey. And this is the first official music that we've ever put out, which is built for you to actually stream it, not just watch a video. It's built for streamability. And And so we're excited to like continue down the original music path. And then I think the third thing is like we're always looking for wild and crazy opportunities to connect with other people who are in this
Yeah.
creative industry to do things that haven't been seen before. So wild viral ideas, whether they go viral or not isn't the point. It's that let's do something crazy and see what happens,
Yeah.
right? We love exploring the unknown. And lastly, I just say like I don't know where we're headed, but there's been so many points in this journey that we have had conversations about how are we going to get through this, or when is this going to end, or all of the fears of that. And I just believe personally that God has a plan for what
Mm.
we've been through. Because I mean,
Yeah.
this dude's been through a lot, dude. This dude has, I mean, you can
Yeah,
touch on
no,
it
I've
if you
been I've
want.
been sober for, is it 4 years
Oh,
now? Yeah, so
man,
definitely had some struggles with some addictions over the years,
sure.
and that has really opened up a new world for me. And I'm thankful every day that I get
Okay.
to live the life that I live, and thankful for God for all that. And
Yeah.
I think just a couple months ago, like it's just crazy how things can turn so much when you're in like a really dark spot and you're just like have no idea where things are going to go. I think back in March or February, we were just staring at the ceiling,
Yeah.
staring at the ceiling for like weeks, going like, I don't know what we're supposed to do. Like we were
No.
so directionless, and then like it just kind of popped into our heads that were like, what if we did more of these city songs? And within just a
Mhm.
couple months, our lives have completely changed and shifted in such a magnificent way. So,
I'll shout out to my
um,
mom for that since we kind of
yeah,
she was like, Austin, why don't you guys do those more of those city songs? Everyone loves those. And I'm like, Mom, like, no, like, I don't know. Like, and it was one of those moments where your mom says something and you kind of like, there's some validity to it, but you kind of like don't want to accept it at the time. But I, thought about it and then we've talked and we started down that route and it's been such a great blessing. But like, dude, this guy right here, we've been through the highest highs and the lowest lows.
Yeah.
And we've had a lot of hard
Sure.
conversations and a lot of hard times, but we've been able to, and I'll even say the same for all of Sean over at Mac and Cheese. We've all been through so much together
Sure.
to kind of get to this point here. And there's a purpose for it because otherwise there were several times where this thing could have
oh
just
my God,
been,
so many, there's
yeah,
50,
Yeah.
whereas like it's all coming to an end,
yeah,
and God has built a bridge every single
yeah.
time.
Yeah.
Time we go, like we would say, we always like to say, like, please close this door if it's not going to be, if this isn't our purpose, if we're not supposed to keep doing this. And every single time the
The
door
door
has
opens.
stayed open, and then another door opens, and
Yeah.
you're just like, so I think,
That's a good point, Colin. I think if whether you believe in God or not, or whatever it is that maybe you believe in,
Mm.
there was like a power to like, please close this. We just want clarity. We want to do whatever it is that we're supposed to do. So close the door if it's
Yeah.
not the door we need to be on, because the turmoil of being in that space, that gray area, like I've talked about, we've been in several times of just like, what are we supposed to do? It was so difficult. And man, when the door swung open for these songs for cities, we're chasing it with everything that we've got.
Yeah.
And man, it's just been pretty amazing to see. Just we love human connection is the currency
Yep.
doing
Yep.
right now. That is like the best amount of money you can make is in the human connection, right? You get so filled up, you get to feel like you were productive that day because that's what we were meant to do. And we've seen like I've had so many people reach out from my past, from my, current state, from the future when we do these, and it makes me happy, right? The
Yeah.
joy, right?
Yeah.
That I get to
Absolutely.
connect with these people. And this just seems like a really cool avenue to do it. And so that's where we're chasing now.
Yeah.
And I'm sure we'll be in a bit here where we're like, what are we doing next? But we at least have the mental fortitude over these years of working together to figure it out. And we're just so thankful that we get to have
Yeah.
every day like today, where we get to talk to
Man.
you.
No, we love, well, thank you, man. And real quick, Colin, congratulations, man. 4 years of sobriety. No, that's no small thing, man. And
Thank you.
man, praise God for that, man. And
absolutely,
here's to many more years of just that. So yeah, thank you guys so much. And it just you've been gracious, you've been vulnerable. And let me say this too, and I wanted to circle back before I let you go, but my wife and I, we've been in a season where, a little bit here with just some family stuff where it's like we don't know what God is doing sometimes, right? We try to interpret it, we try to use discernment, whatever it is. And some days it's like, hey, we don't know where we're going to end up, but we know we're going to end up together wherever we land. And I wonder with you guys, I mean, obviously it's a marriage of the things that you are enjoyed, doing together creatively with one another. I mean, and is it safe to say that wherever you guys land, I mean, your friendship is going to win out, above opportunity, above, money, all the things.
Well, I mean, it's already stood the test of time.
Yeah.
I will say that. But I feel we've spent so much time together, and I'll mention my wife here in a second, but I mean, I pretty much spend equal amount of time with Colin just because
Yep.
that's the way,
if not more,
if not more.
yeah.
And so, man, there's a reason. He's brought so much just depth and
Mm,
to my life and life experience because he does come from a completely different thought process, from a completely different whatever. And I think he would say the same thing about me. And that's grown us as people. So our brains now pretty much operate in ways you don't have to
yeah.
ask.
Like I know what you're thinking, I know what you're feeling. We've had so many conversations. It's like I don't know what it would take that could break
Yeah.
this
Yep.
bond.
Yeah.
We've
It's
been through
special, man.
yeah,
Yeah.
we've been through so many things, and at the end of the day, our friendship and our love for each other is so much more important than this career or anything. We've always said that like if you're not happy doing this, like that's so much more important if that we're both happy than like the success of our career. So like
We've never ever been like, dude, you got to stay in this because if you don't, my dreams are gone.
Yeah.
And dude, if this isn't good for you as a human,
Yeah.
and then do what you need to do. But it's always kind of brought us back to we felt this calling or purpose to be doing
yeah.
this. And I'll just double down on this for my wife, man. I wouldn't be able to be even remotely pursuing this dream or passion if she wasn't just a honestly just a badass of a
Yeah.
person. She's an addiction rehab nurse practitioner.
Wow.
She has her doctorate and she works with helping those people every day. She's put some of her passions and hobbies and dreams on hold to see if I can, because it's always, as you know, as a creative, it's always like, dude, but next year, that's when things are really going to pick it up.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so, and I mean, I truly do believe this. Otherwise, I would not be doing this right now. But man, she's stuck with. We've had obviously a lot of like hard times through it while you're trying to build something like this, and it's not easy. But she always, at the end of the day, it's why she said she's always married me because of kind of that always pursuit for something adventure and something
Hmm.
greater because she's a little bit more of the like, she's an unbelievable creative person, but she's more like on the less risk adverse side. So we
Sure.
balance throughout
Same.
greatly, makes it really hard, but I always know with her love and support that she's going to be there for me. That's the only reason why I've been able to keep doing this.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I don't know what it would be like to be married to someone else, but I do know that a lot of people would have probably kicked their husbands out of the house.
Yeah.
Pursuing this, you got to go be an accountant.
It's always
Not anything against accountants, but
yeah, no, it's always funny to see the juxtaposition between Mary Beth helping people with their addictions and helping save their lives while we're out like dancing in the
Yeah.
street.
Yeah.
Like I
It's a different,
swear,
yeah, different
I'm like, I
vibe.
promise this is making money. Just
yeah,
and it's like you
yeah.
guys are just dancing in front of the Chick-fil-A. It's like, what do you know?
I
Yeah.
have to tell my 3-year-old that I'm going to like work, and then I show her the video that I made, and it's like, hey, and I mean, it's a fascinating juxtaposition.
Yeah,
But
and if I may, man, your moves are crisp. I
thank
mean,
you.
so much power also in grace. It's amazing to watch you guys move. Okay, guys, we're gonna let you go, man. If you want to check out Austin and Colin, you can do so on Instagram, Austin and Colin. If you want to check them out, austinandcolin.com is also there, and then macandcheesemedia.com for those of us that want to work with them as they continue to help build brands and build up people. So, man, you guys, and I mean this, you guys have been incredible. And I appreciate the time. Um,
I already said it once before, but Nate, we got to say something about you, man. We've been through a lot of interviews in our entire lives, and it means something when somebody cares enough to like not just like hey, they'd be a good podcast, right? Which sure we would, but you took a lot of time. I mean, I know you did because of the things you brought up.
You pulled up the Three Cheese
Yeah,
podcast result. That's a deep cut. I was like, Sean Evans
Yeah,
from Hot Ones. I'm like, he gets really deep, and I'm like, man, I
yeah,
appreciate you looking into what's
yeah.
really
yeah, of
deep.
course, guys.
That's
And I can
awesome.
tell that you also align with like trying to connect with people, make them, feel something and to bring more joy to the world. And so thank you, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just
Well, thank you. You're very, very kind. Austin, Colin, much love to you guys. All the future success we're pulling for you. We're hoping for you. And again, we'll talk to you here pretty soon. Have a great week.
Hey, you
yep.
too,
All right,
man. Thank
guys.
We'll catch you while we're hitting the road.
you. Yeah.
There it is. All right, guys.